Okay, these are all, take out the carved pieces first. This is just black slip over white B-mix clay. Oops. This is the boat scene with the wharf. I did a series of some of my usual motifs because we'd sold most of them out over the summer. So I kind of needed to get some more done. This is the crow and the cat. These are the two cats playing with each other. There we go. Let's see, what else have we got? Okay, and then the others are the B-mix, also B-mix, but these are the slab-built cups, which are textured, and then in two phases I rub underglaze into them. So in the first phase I sponge color on, and then we fire it, and then after it's bisque fired I rub another layer of color in, and then it's clear glazed and fired a second time. And these are all done that way. The underglaze applied in two separate operations. I do that because if I do all the underglazing at once, it will just all mix together, and I won't be able to maintain the clarity of the color, because when I rub the colors into the deeper areas, it will all get pushed around and mixed together. This cup is done the same way, except that it has some shell shapes sprigged on, so it has things that are quite coming out of the surface, in addition to the stamped and carved textures. And this one too has some sprigging, the shell shapes. Those are made by pressing clay into a little shell mold, and then the first color application is on top, and the second application is what goes into the deep crevices and stays there before the bisque firing. And here's the last one. This is the double owl.
Okay, the rest of this shelf level is two different slip decorated without any underglaze. So these are what I call Nova Scotia Mist, and they are dark blue slip sprayed over B-Mix 5 white clay, which is a cream color, using a paper stencil technique where you put that over the shapes that you see light blue are actually paper stencils, cut out and then applied to the white B-Mix clay, and then the slip is dipped or sprayed over the top. And then you remove the paper and you've got dark blue, and light blue, except for when the B-mix stage it'll be dark blue and white. And then I use a glaze which has 1% cobalt in it, cobalt carbonate, and a little bit of rutile, so it gives a sort of crystallized effect looking like the fog in the mist. And the other way I do it is pretty much self-explanatory. Paper stencils over the white B-mix clay, and then spray blue slip over the top, and then remove the stencils. And I actually just paint in the little lights on the lighthouse there. So all of these are actually the same, so we'll skip to the next level.
Okay, on this next level I have some small trays and then some pieces that I'm going to use to make a larger framed tile piece. But I'll do the trays first. And I was really experimenting here with just using a much brighter palette of colors from the underglaze choices. These are all on B-Mix. This one is just using some of the different blues, the bright blue, the lavender, and the middle type blues. Sometimes it's fun to just make a change from one's usual color choices. Let's see what happens. This was a mixture of fire engine red, and I think there was a turquoise underneath it. And even these are done in two phases, like sponging color on the top surface of the textures, doing the bisque fire, and then after the bisque fire, rubbing a second layer of colors into the deeper areas before clear glazing and firing again. It means that first layer of colors can remain bright and clear without getting smudged in with some of the darker colors that are used in the line work. This one was different. I just used one layer of hitting the top parts of the textures with a sponge with color in it, and I didn't rub any color. I just decided to leave the spaces white for a lighter feel. Okay, the rest are the pieces that will combine to make a larger tile piece. So this is going along the bottom, the rocky foliage. And this too is rocks and foliage that will be at the edge of the water. And this is the main part of the foliage. I've also sprigged shell shapes down here by pressing clay into shell molds and sprigging it onto the larger piece of tile before painting with underglaze and rubbing color in. And these are the two loons that will be in the water part of the image when I get it all finished. Okay, so this is the last layer of the kiln. One has a lot of lamp bases, and I have some more black and white mugs. All of this is still the B-mix clay. was a nice firing. Everything turned out very black and very white, good contrast. This is the cat in the garden with the bird bath. And this is the Whalen Island. There are a few themes I like to work with when I'm doing kind of a series of 16 or so mugs. So that I'm not really carving the same exact thing over and over again. I vary it up each time. This is the other one with the horses and the little cat right in the middle. So a lot of times I set up two at a time with a similar theme, and then the next two will be maybe a landscape or the cat and the rooster or something like that. And this is the image based on West Ironbound Island, which is here where they graze sheep on the island. The sheep actually kind of have the island to themselves. And last one is the horses and the cat again.
Okay, this is a bunch of lamps now, and this was a special order for somebody who wanted a lamp with some blue in the sky. So I hand painted this with underglazes. No stenciling on this one, it's just all underglazes. So this was a long time to paint. Birds and crows. So there you go. So they all have different combinations of black crows, and some of them all flying birds, some of them will be standing birds, and they're all kind of assortment. And you just do these by throwing a white B-mix lamp, spraying it entirely black a couple of times to get a decent black, and then putting paper stencils over the top of the black, and then basically spraying the thing white 3 times to get a good coverage of white, and then pulling the paper off, and then carving through where the black is to give the idea of the feathers. So all of these are basically different sort of combinations, so there's lots of choice on the composition basically. There we go. All right, well, that's basically, there's some more of them, but they're all very similar. And the last level down this little kiln, it doesn't take much to unload this kiln, is another one of the black bowls where it's a mixture of matte and shiny. So they only wanted one or two, and I've made a bunch. So if anybody else wants one, I can mail it to them. Very classy, aren't they? That licorice glaze is actually very nice. I don't use it very often, but with the black matte it does great. Okay, this is a gas kiln firing in oxidation. So I'm balancing a lot of different elements to this. This is a pyrometer that shows me two different temperatures. If I can hold the iPad and touch it. So you can see it on what is T2, which is the bottom. It's 1146. T1 is 1156. So there's a difference of 10 degrees between top and bottom at the moment. So let's put it back, and this tells you the difference in degrees. So it's 11 degrees difference between top and bottom now. And then the back of the kiln is 1152. So basically we've got just 11 degrees difference between the levels of the kiln. So this pyrometer thermocouple that I bought with two thermocouples is really useful. We're now only 10 degrees difference. We've still got about 50 to 60 degrees to go centigrade before it reaches temperature. So it may even balance out to absolutely perfect by then. But this is a useful tool to have. Good morning. It's Vaughan at westgoatbellpottery.ca in Nova Scotia, Canada for another kiln unloading video on September the 26th or 7th today. I can never remember the date. Self-employed. I still have flowers, as you can see in my garden here. It's still quite pretty. The Montauk daisies are flowering, as you can see on the hedge up there, and then there's the new studio. So we still got scaffolding out front, but it's looking fairly finished at the moment. Painting next week on the inside. So after this little bit here, I've got a couple of gas kiln unloadings here, and then I've got two electric kiln unloadings, one of Jackie's and mine together, cone 4, and a little tiny kiln with some black pieces in it. So this might be all combined into one video, so it might be quite a lot, or I might split it into surprise, surprise. Anyway, let's have a look at the kiln. This part always makes me think of the Munsters. First look. Let's see, what can we see? We see a whole bunch of pieces that look like it was a good firing. So first impressions are no disasters. What did we get temperature wise? The bottom of the kiln, 7, is just barely starting, so we're at about cone 6 to 6.5 is my guess for the bottom temperature. And the top, cone 7, just a little bit further along, so we're about cone 6.5 to close to 7. So that sounds perfect because there was 6 degrees difference between top and bottom. So this kiln is working just fine at the moment. I could tweak it even a bit more, and I think I'd be fine, and I could get it even closer. But it's working fine by the look of the pieces. And we have a whole bunch of things. Functional and trays and frames in here. What's the temperature there? I can put my hand on it. This is the first of what might be many for me, butterflies. Somebody asked me to do butterflies, and I just glazed it in blues because they wanted all blues on the pieces. They may not want this piece, it may end up in the gallery, but it's just an experiment. And it was done with just carving and stamping with all my little hand stamps. And that is blue with variegated blue and oatmeal over the top. This is folk art white in the gas kiln. And I add a little bit of yellow iron ochre, yellow iron oxide, and that gives me that orange. And it's very orange on the inside. It's a sort of semi-matte glaze. I would say semi-luster, satin, whatever you want to call it, because there is a sheen to it, as you can see it reflecting in the bottom inside. But it's got apple green over the top, which is very nice. And that's a nice cafe au lait ball. And there's another one of those. We have a bunch of trays in here. I'm not sure if I just put... These are those roller stamps that I do. And that's a nice little tray. This was done for glazing a lot simpler than the hand glazing with the little nozzles I showed in the making speedy fish trays. And this one, of course, is just blue. Just to see whether I can do these really quite quickly and what the response will be from the customers. Here's another one. These are all done with those roller stamps, so they're fairly quick to make, but it gives you quite a bit of detail on their textural as well. This is a special order for the people who ordered the dinner set. They wanted a large serving bowl. So I'll measure this and send them a picture of it and see whether they really like it. It turned out beautiful. Perfect. There should be 2 of those. There are lids for these, and these are casseroles using my red clay, which works for ovenware. And that's going to have a lid. And the same glazes, bright blue, variegated blue, and oatmeal. Another one, folk art white, and apple green. And there's my bright yellow with the apple green. The bright yellow works best in the gas kiln. It's kind of a really nice sheen to it. I'm going to go back to electric firing in less than a month, probably. 2 more identical. Angle these, but they are a bit warm. So that one, these probably, I would say these are 135 degrees, maybe 130 Fahrenheit. But there's a nice one of my Cove series platters. This is another one of the casseroles. This worked out really nice too. I think this one is the one they'll probably go with. This is the last one of the casseroles. I made 3 for them to pick from. Short, medium, and tall. So let's see if we can find the lids for these. That's how I find my lids on stilts. See, they can stay very flat. They don't warp. I don't think that's warped at all. So, so it's a good way of firing the lids. That works perfectly. I think it's the right lid for this one. It feels right. And they wanted that cranberry on these pieces to match their dinner set, which they had cranberry on too. It still came right off on that one. I would say that one's fairly flat, but I can see a slight curve in that one on one side. But it's, well, we're talking 1/16 of an inch maybe. You can see it actually in the picture there. See if it stays flat. Yeah, it fits perfectly. So it stays pretty flat. So we'll see. There's the stilt again. I'll have to grind that down. There's some little sharp areas underside the lid there. Did it stay flat? That's a large lid to be on that stilt, and it stayed pretty darn flat there. And there's the lid on the piece. Maybe they'll go with this one. Yeah, they all fit perfectly anyway. The other large serving bowl. It's like a flat serving bowl. It's like in between a platter. I'd say this is 14 inches across. But it's a big serving bowl. I can see this being used for salad or a large pasta dish. Really pretty on that. Did I show you a close-up? Very pretty. Then the top of the kiln, we're talking less than half a cone probably. But these are 2 mugs that somebody ordered, and there's the little cat face on the bottom of the handle. I'll show you the cranberry ones later in this video that they ordered too. They wanted 4. And there's a beauty little cup here. That's a nice little drinking glass. Bright blue, variegated blue, and oatmeal. A wash basin. Nice powder room wash basin. This one's a little hotter. This one's almost too hot to handle, but another wash basin. And another very large serving bowl for salad or whatever. Just maybe a fruit bowl size. It's a big bowl. But these are all in the blues because I'm giving this couple of a whole dinner set for me. Lots of choices of bowls that they can use for matching pieces with the dinner set. Got some frames that my wife made. I made the frames, and she actually textured them. And she also glazed them, and she's doing much better on the glazing these days. The glaze is thick enough on these ones straight away. We had to refire some last year that were too thinly glazed. Oh, very courageous purple frame. This is Jackie's too. I've taken some shells. Here's one I'd used the slip trailer on again, so I could get some more detailed glazing. But it was a regular slip trailer, not one of the fine point ones. And that's a nice little fish piece that was a little faster to make than those other, when I did the speedy fish trays, because the glazing was quite time consuming in those. This one wasn't. Now the green frame. That one I don't like as much. There's too much mottling, I think, on that one. I'm not sure what to glaze. That's not so bad. That one's a bit better. It looks like apple green with some oat. That one's nice. That's the folk art with the actual apple green around it. And there's a folk art white one with some oatmeal probably on it. And there's an actual grey one. That's the mouse grey. This is a cheese dome. There's the little stilt that holds that whole big thing up. It's just a kiln prop underneath it, and then that just holds it up. It's a whale cheese dome. So there's a plate somewhere in one of the firings, probably not gone in the kiln yet for this one to go with. And there's another one. This is an order for one of them as well. So this lady is going to get this one in the mail. This is one of my handmade stilts that's now 4 or 5 years old, and it still stands up. How about that? This is just one made from my Speckle 455 clay, and with the pins I bought from National Art Craft. And it's 4 or 5 years old. It's still working great. This is a new piece for me. Somebody wanted somewhere to put their utensils when they get them out of the sink to drain. And they just put this by the side of the sink, and when they wash their utensils, they just pop them in one of these, and the water drains out the bottom. Of these coming out, and these turned out very nice. So this is bright blue, oatmeal, and variegated blue, all from Mastering Cone 6 Glaze book, which I should encourage every potter to buy that book, because the glazes are really terrific, and I've only used about, I don't know, 6 or 8 out of the whole book, and there's probably 100. Oh, this one's nice. This is the matte turquoise, variegated blue, and oatmeal. Another one of the blue ones. These are large soup bowl coffee mugs, so you could even use a spoon to eat out of these too. And you can't go anywhere without a big beer tankard. That's a nice beer tankard. That is probably a 28-ounce beer tankard. Oh, look at that. Too bad. A piece of the kiln. That's the first time that's ever happened. I can probably get that off easily. Let's have a look at getting that. There's just a little bit of kiln brick that landed on, you can barely see it, but it's just there in the leaf. There you go. I sanded it and it came off. So that was lucky. But that's a nice platter. Is that the right way up? I think you're supposed to go that way up. There you go. That's a Jackie platter. It's a nice one. Here's a couple of frames that Jackie did. And there's the folk art white with the apple green again. That's a nice one. Not sure if they look better in the shade or not. Here's the bigger one with the faux mouse grey and folk art white. So far none of them are apple green. The grey again. Small blue one. And another great one. Now we have a whole bunch of tiny little trays. Oh, that's a cat head. These tiny little trays. A couple more little tiny trays. These are those kiln fillers that we do. Because it can make the difference in a firing to make it profitable, and hopefully $100 to $150 per firing in gas. So most of the trays, but they're experiments as well as just something, you know, put a tiny little price tag on that, $6 or something, because it's a stamp, for just putting a ring on or something. And then here's one. You could maybe put a bit of soy sauce on that one for a sushi dinner. Nice blue one. It's a nice one. And there's a little grey one again. Just enough texture on to catch the glaze. There's another one. That's actually one of my frames that Jackie took, I think. Or maybe this is one of my frames. There you go. Small one. Jackie tried a few purple ones by the look of it. That's nice though. And there's the apple green. I've found two more little trays. Probably the most interesting ones I've seen so far. That's like a fossil record. These are nice. I like those. This is a nice big frame. Good pattern and texture on that. The glaze is perfect. That is good too. This is so nice that Jackie won't have to have any refires. Whoa, this is a really nice one too. Look at that for a frame. That is a great frame. Well done, Jackie. And then there's a mini frame too. Very nice too. The apple green is done really well in this firing. And that's the mouse grey with the folk art white on it as well. There's a large blue one. Middle blue one and another green one. And that's, I think that is mouse grey with apple green. So Jackie tried a different one. That worked well too. We might even have some blue on that one. There could be some blue over the mouse grey. And there's a long green one. Simple. Here's another one of those bowls that was an order, and this one is in the speckled clay, so she'll have a choice with a few speckles or with the white clay. You can see it has a few speckles in that one. And then a blue one. The regular chun green bowl. Oh, tiny little bit of crawling. I might have to refire that one. And then a blue like the other one I just showed you. So bottle stoppers that I make. And that's how I fire them, so they stand up in the kiln. And there's one with two birds. And that's a grey one. I don't usually do grey, but it's nice, so I tried something different. Two more. These are a little bit of a disappointment. The glaze is a new glaze for Cone 6 clear, and it's clear, obviously, you can see that, but they are nothing like as bright as the ones I do in B-Mix 5 clay and Fire to Cone 4 with my own clear glaze over the top. These ones are just so much duller. It's possible that will be appealing as well, because some people may not like the high gloss. These ones, you've got this kind of sort of satin. It's not really satin either, but it's not high gloss. But it's a glaze recipe that is in the Mastering Cone 6 glaze book. But so clear, but nothing like as clear as I could get my own. I might try mixing mine with this and see what happens. These are those dishwashing utensil holders to drain after they come out of when you're washing. Instead of the plastic things you buy on a draining board, you can put these, and it just makes sense. They're nicer to look at. Two more. So there's a lot of these mugs in here. I'm not going to show because I'm not happy that the glaze isn't totally cut. I'm going to put them back in the kiln for this firing. I'm going to pack this kiln right up again and put these on the top shelf and see if they come out nicer on the top. So basically, that was the first of this kiln, and I'm going to fire it again tonight. So, and then I've got 3 weeks before just to make pottery before I can start packing bisque firings again, because I do 2 bisque firings and 3 glaze firings. Yeah, and there's this time it was 2 glaze firing in the gas, and I'm doing a few electric kiln firings as well, because it has turned a bit chilly. It's a high of 15 centigrade today, so it's not that warm. Okay, this is the last in this video, kiln unloading. I've got some more blues. That's the dark blue, which always goes dull on the speckled clay, and that's the bright blue, as you can see. So much brighter with the bright blue, but the oatmeal on the top is really what makes this mug pretty. So we've seen these in previous videos. That's just the oatmeal. I've been doing a lot of layering in the landscape kind of look. So this is the kind of apple green, variegated blue, and bright blue over the top, or it could be dark blue over the top. There's a few of Jackie's little fish trays which are really nice in here. I've got a whole bunch of noodle bowls in this firing because I almost ran out. And I've got several of these. They were in the other firing, I think a few of them too. That's the purple apple, and where they overlap is the purple over top of the apple. And that's another one of those, same coloring. It was down to 9 degrees last night, centigrade, and it's warming up already. It's going to get to 20 today. That's actually bright blue and purple, and where they overlap you've got a little color in the middle there. Another one of the yellow, the apple green with blue in the inside. Actually that's probably chun green, not apple green. One of these in the other firing earlier in the video, and that's the winter scene with the bright blue, variegated blue and oatmeal in the winter series. It's an interesting one. Wonder what I did on that one. I don't know. Because I've got it's hard in this light, but I think it's the little reddish. It's probably Tenmoku gold, but it has gone a little reddish. And it's Tenmoku gold very thin. And I think that's why it looks reddish without any gold flecks. But it's kind of nice. But yeah, that one, the light's strange with the sunlight because it hasn't come completely full into the front of the building yet. I think you can see it, but... Oh, here's a pretty one. It's the Cove series again. It's kind of the idea of you can think of it as a river going through the landscape, or you could think of it as a total reflection type thing. So either way it works. And that's the Tenmaku Gold on the bottom too. But very nice ball there. And there's an apple green, bright blue on inside as well. Wintry Icelandic series noodle bowl. These are bigger noodle bowls than I normally make. But the oatmeal, I did not add the speckles as much this time. So it's coming out whiter and also less speckles, which I kind of like. Made a whole bunch under special request of these cups. People were asking me for my regular teacup, but I made these larger so it could be used as a soup bowl, as well as a coffee cup for cafe au lait. But it's bright blue, apple green, and yellow. Very pretty. I'm really down to a lot of brown mugs in the gallery, so I made a lot of blue mugs in these firings because you know what sells. I mean, it's blue, green, and it seems like the yellow sells well at the moment, so the bright colors. And I wonder why that is. Yeah, we need some brightness. Belts pop off so easy because I really make sure I got a thin layer of glaze on the bottom of my pieces. So when I glaze them, I'll often dip them in the bottom in a glaze. And then I have a sponge soaked half deep in water, a big square sponge about 5 by 7 or 5 by 8 inches, and it's really wet sponge, so I just wipe the bottom several times on that wet sponge and then dip it in my bottom glaze, and so it doesn't absorb very much on the bottom, and that's why the stilts hardly have anywhere that you have to sand off. I learned that after a while doing it, but it works good. Hi. Don't know who that was. Yeah, the squirrel's looking for a way into my studio. Oh, bright blue, variegated blue, and oatmeal. I actually tried to keep the squirrel out for a while, but he ripped a hole in my screen, so I repaired it. Then he ripped a hole in my screen, so I repaired it. Then I gave up. So he just runs through the hole in the screen, finds the bird food, and off he chomps. The mink doesn't chase a squirrel into my studio. I'll be fine. The squirrel running around on my table is not that big a deal. And all my wiring in the building is an external conduit, so he couldn't chew through anything anyway. These are the sauce bottles that I put those stoppers in that were in the other video. Well, in this video earlier on. But I just have a stopper on these and you put these inside a chicken. And there's 2 more. 2 more noodle bowls. It's interesting seeing them like that. But anyway, folk art white, which gives me the orange with the yellow iron oxide, and then where they overlap a little bit in the middle with apple green on the bottom. And this is one, folk art white and apple green, and then purple dipped over on the rim. That's kind of nice. I might do that again. And this is that glaze. It's a clear glaze in Mastering Cone 6 glazes, and it's much cloudier or less black than my own clear glaze, which I fire at Cone 4. So I'm going to do an experiment. I'm going to fire one of these dipped in my clear glaze at Cone 4. So I'll heat this up. When it's hot, I'll dip it in my clear glaze so we get a coat that dries quickly on the outside. Then I'm going to refire it and see what that does. I'll fire it to Cone 4. And if that looks better, then I'm going to mix half of my glaze that's going to Cone 6 and half of my glaze that's going to Cone 4 together, so half a gallon, and see if I can get a Cone 6 clear glaze that looks much better than this. Because, if I hadn't seen my own clear glaze, I might be quite happy with that. But my clear glaze is great. Beautiful. This is one of the roasters. It's in my red clay, number 80 from Laguna. Or is it number 60? I think it's number 80. and it's got bright blue, variegated blue, and oatmeal over it. And my sauce bottle goes on the top of that, and the chicken goes over the top of the sauce bottle. This is the folk art white. When I mix the folk art white again, I'm going to try mixing it without any iron ochre in it and see how it looks. Because my iron ochre creates this beautiful orange. But I'd like to see what it looks like as a white too. And my new building, which is actually looking really quite finished at this point, I'll show you a quick picture now. I'm going to be doing a lot more glazing in there, mixing glazes, experimenting, because at the moment all my glazes are out in a shed and I have to wait till the weather's good, there's no wind, and it's not cold to mix a glaze, so it's restricting me. Our bottoms for those whale dishes you saw come out of earlier in the video. So the cheese dome that goes on top of this. This is a special order for somebody, so they'll love these. Okay, now the frames coming out for this point are mostly mine. I'm pretty sure maybe all of them are mine. And this is apple green with folk art white in the center. And this is apple green with folk art white in the center again. So I'm going to make red clay tiles during the winter months to fit inside these frames. That's why somebody thought that the shrinkage might be bad if I cut the center out and use it as a tile and decorate it, put it back in. I don't do that. I make tiles separately out of a different clay body, earthenware, and then put them in these frames. 2 bright blue over, it's my speckle clay 455 from Pottery Supply House in Toronto, with folk art white in the middle. And isn't it interesting that this was applied much heavier, and this would be thinner, much bluer in this one. And there's another one bigger. So my sgraffito tiles will be in these, done over this coming winter. I only use 3 glazes when I'm doing frames: the apple green, the bright blue, and the mouse gray, because I don't want to make it too busy and too kind of broken up in the gallery. That's already quite a lot with 3 colors. Here's one of my speedy fish trays. Leftover clay rolled out very quickly, and then I glazed these much faster as well. So these are very quick to make. Even the glazing was fast on these. Now we can look at the cone packs. Here's the top. Cone 7 is just beginning to bend a little bit. Top, bottom. That is pretty darn close in temperature. So basically we got a good cone 6, strong cone 6, and then 7 is just beginning to bend on this one, so it was a little hotter at the top than the bottom. 6 degrees centigrade does that. That's the difference it was. But very good. I've got this kiln controlled now. It took all summer to control that because I changed the baffle brick. Isn't the baffle the brick that blocks the gas? I always forget the name. But apple green and bright blue. Mouse gray. That's the first one of those. It's just sort of, I think that it makes the frame, the artwork inside stands out better if you keep the colors minimal, but that little bit of it, folk art white helps. Very nice frame. See if you can get it right. For the little one with just blue, no accent with folk art white. Here's one where I used apple green on the center and the gray on the outside. So it's mouse gray and apple green. Jackie's got a lot more of these fish trays for this firing than I thought. These are both Jackie's. These little trays sell very well, and we price them anything, little ones, I don't know, this one's probably like 16, but we price them down to 12. I've even had some at 10, and right the way up to like $50, $60, depending on how nice they are. So apple green and yellow, bright blue and apple green, and overlapping in the middle, you give you that darker area. This is another one of those thin Tenmaku gold. Very thin by the look of it. Over oatmeal, and it's quite pretty. But brown, I've got lots of brown pieces left, so that shows that it wasn't brown that we're selling this year. I have a bunch of just landscape effect mugs now where you've got 3 glazes layered to create a sort of landscape feel. Chun green and yellow overlapping, and bright blue. No, actually, what's this one? This is apple green overlapping the yellow. Oh no, it's got blue over the apple green on the bottom. Yellow, apple green, and bright blue, and then the regular bright blue, variegated blue, and oatmeal. Apple green with yellow, really pretty. This is your sunny coffee mug for your Sunday morning watching videos. And there's yellow, apple green, and bright blue. But yeah, this one's a great mug for big, huge, creamy coffee. Okay, here's some of the Speedy Fish trays. Simply glazed, so they don't take very long. You're just basically dipping and they're done. And this one I dipped in Tenmiku Gold and dipped the edges with bright blue and oatmeal. And these are Jackie's. And she's being a bit more careful with glazing, rubbing the glaze off and then glazing again. So she's putting some time into these, even though they're very small. And there's another one. I think this was just dipped. So that was quicker. And that one was painted by hand with the glaze rubbed and then reglazed. And this is a really nice one. But these take more time because she's actually doing these by hand, carving them, and then actually hand painting them. So it's a different price structure for her pieces here. There's the chattering. Noodle balls, rice balls. Bright blue on the inside with purple. 2 more of the same bright blue and purple. And another one, I usually only do 4 of these, but I did 5. Bright blue and purple. And then bright blue with apple green. I like this one better, I think. Speedy Fish just dipped. And there's one of Jackie's. And she's carving these and then painting the glaze in. And that's one where I actually glazed green and then I put Tenmiku Gold over the green with a slip trailer around the fish and then dipped the edges in blue. So there's a bit more time in this one. This one is another one where I poured some turquoise in the center and just brushed it around a little bit to get a turquoise center. Then I dipped the edges all with the bright blue. So it was a quicker one to glaze, even though we got definition. This is a very nice frame too. So this will end up with a Sgraffito carved tile in the center of it. And there's another one, same coloring, apple green with folk art white, totally flat. Mouse gray, folk art white in the center. Nice frame too. A small mouse gray frame. Sweet. 2 more of Jackie's trays. They're upside down. Apple green with folk art white. Blue and folk art white. One of my roller stamp trays, just dipped in 3 colors. Dip, 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 and so on. Gives you that effect. That's quick to glaze, but nice. There's another large rectangle thing. I do these verticals every so often, and they're nice. Tiny little stamp trays by Jackie. And these are the ones we'll put at like $8 probably, because they're quick to glaze and stamp. Now a whole bunch of tankards. About 28 to 30 ounce tankards these are, so they're quite a lot of liquid. Got to leave room for the froth on the top of the beer, don't you? They're all in blues, variegated blue and oatmeal. ran off the bottom, so I'll have to sand it. That's interesting. It's the apple green and the folk art white, so I think apple green didn't like being so close to the bottom on that, so I'll have to sand that one down. Maybe the others, I had 3 or 4 like that, so we'll see. But this is really pretty. It's my oatmeal over the I think folk art white, and then oatmeal and oatmeal on the bottom. And I'm trying to think if I had any apple green in there. I might have, but it's so pale, I don't know. Yeah. Same piece, glazed identically. One runs and one doesn't, right next door to each other. That's what keeps us on our toes. And here is one of the Cove series balls. It's a large ball too. And I've got blue overlapping the yellow there, and I think that made it a bit too dark. So I might end up doing some refires on this one, I'm not sure yet. Here is chun green over the bright yellow. That's a happy piece. This is what you're drying your utensils in the kitchen. And this is the chun green, maybe the apple green as well, I think, over the yellow. Lots of variations here. And this is the apple green over the yellow. Just finishing off with a few mugs like this. That's an interesting one. I'm not sure what I did there. It's got some brown element in the middle. It's kind of dark. And then a purple with variegated blue. And there's another one of those. It's a bit dark. I'm not sure whether I'll refire these or not. And there's yellow. That's nicer. Another one of the noodle bowls. That Tenmoku Gold Mystery. Another one of those with the gray plus the bright blue. That's nice. Here's the bright blue with the gray. I think it's... That's different. I'm not quite sure what's on the bottom there. It could be my number 16 glaze, but I don't remember using that. But it's probably the gray, just over the red clay, because it's a dark red clay, so I bet it's just like mouse gray. And another Cove series bowl with the oatmeal, variegated blue and bright blue. Turned out very dark. It's the mouse gray, I think. Oh, that has a dribble down it too. This one's nice though. Yellow and apple green. Another one of those tankards in the creams with the green. 2 more sauce bottles. Tenmoku Gold, bright blue and oatmeal. Purple, variegated blue on the bottom. Purple, variegated blue, and I think oatmeal over the variegated blue at the bottom. Final mug is yellow with apple green, and I got a sink to follow, and that's it. So this is a sink in the winter scene with the bright blue, variegated blue and oatmeal. Just oatmeal on the outside. That's a nice sink. So I should say that's the end of the video. 3 kiln unloadings with a whole bunch of new pieces ready for the fall. And it's now September 29th, and so one more day of September, and October is definitely fall here. The trees are already starting to see a little yellow and orange in them. So it's still nice though, 20 degrees centigrade today. I have had a lot of people visit this summer, and I'm going to put some photos in the next video. Maybe I'll do it at the end of this one actually. And thank you to all those people who've traveled from India, the UK, and the States, a lot from the States. I even had somebody from Norway, I think it was, or Sweden. Maybe it was Finland. Anyway, one of the Scandinavian countries. So I guess people see the videos and want to visit Nova Scotia. So And if they're passing by here, they'll drop in. But thank you very much. That's a long way to come. And of course, we have all the local New Brunswick and Ontario and Vancouver and people visiting. So it's overwhelming. Yeah, thanks a lot for supporting me and this channel, and also buying a lot of my pottery now as well when you visit. So here you go. Let's show you some pictures.